Recording in progress.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. Khatimin nabiyyin Abil Qasim Muhammad. Wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin al-ma'sumin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we are going to continue our talk into Surah Fatiha. And first, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Can everyone hear me? Is the voice okay? Just a thumbs up would be good, or all right. Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone again. So we were talking about fear last week, and we were talking about the ways in which fear has to be overcome. We were talking about how a skeptical mind gets in the way of letting go a lot of times. And we talked about how controlling everything gives us this sense of comfort. I'm going to now continue from the same book I was reading last time, Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And I don't have a slide as yet right now. If I probably won't be needing a slide today. So we were talking about this idea of resistance. And I want to read a little bit more and connect it to the following ideas that I want to share today. So we were saying that we have basically been taught that it's our job and as responsible adults to be active, to be masculine in nature, to go out and get the job done, to take control of our lives, to take the bull by the horns. We've been taught that that's our power. We're powerful because what we've achieved rather than what we are. This is a very significant point that we need to keep reminding ourselves that does our achievement lie in what we do or who we become? This is the gist of everything, because what we do happens on the outside and what we become happens on the inside. Now, I will be transitioning from the ayat that we were on, iyyaka nabudu wa iyyaka nastaeen, to the next ayat which says, ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Now, what is this path and why do I need help? So first we said, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nastaeen. And we talked about nabudu meaning worship. Being an abd also goes into the meanings of servitude. And servitude looks like surrendering. So when there's a slave in front of his master, there's a servitude. And what does that look like? When the master orders something, the servant surrenders to that. So there's this understanding of what servitude is. And in that servitude, in that surrendering, I need help. So I'm saying only to you is my loyalty. Only to you is my surrender. I only come to you for, my bowing down. It's only to you and nobody else. And we've discussed about how what is idols, right? We've discussed how when it comes to the oneness of God, can we be now like Hazrat Ibrahim does a dua in the Quran where he says, "Oh Allah, prevent me from the worship of the asnam, the sanam, the idol." You know this word in Hindi they use this word sanam. Sanam actually means an idol. And in the Quran, Hazrat Ibrahim is using this word and saying, "Oh Allah, prevent me and my future generations from the worship of idols." And so the question lies in, okay, Allah, my servitude is to you. From you, I need help. And Hazrat Ibrahim is seeking help in this connection to Allah, in this servitude. And he's fearful and he's saying, prevent me and my children from the worship of idols and we look at the generations that come after Hazrat Ibrahim, we look at his progeny and we see that his progeny is full of prophets. So Prophet Ibrahim, number one, was at a certain level, and then we say, well, Prophet Ibrahim's children were like prophetic people. They were like at a very high level of their devotion to God. And this prophet is praying, keep me away from the worship of idols. And we understand what an idol is. Look at this word idol, and you look around you and you'll see American Idol. An American Idol is what? This phenomena, this sensation of finding one person who overpowers you, who fills you with inspiration and makes you want to be like them. So you start dressing up like these idols, you want to act like them, you want to talk like them, you want their lifestyle, the things they advertise, you want to go and buy them. So what happens when an idol enters our life? That becomes the focus of who I become, not in every way, who I become. I want to emulate this idol. I want to become like this idol. And that is why um, going close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to become like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the opposite direction, moving away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would mean finding any other idol who I want to emulate, who I want to become like. And that's why we're seeing that I'm first saying iyyaka nabudu, or iyyaka, I say only you do I worship, and only from you I seek help. It's a proclamation, like we said. It's an affirmation. It's like I'm teaching my heart who I want to be and what I recognize as goodness. And my goodness lies in relying not on the idols in the world who are constantly moving out and in of their perfections. We see all these, pop idols, actors and actresses that children and even as teenagers we look up to them. They become our idols. We want to dress up like them, look like them. We dye our hair, all those things. But we see that at some point in their life, they're not doing well. They're sick. They can't work anymore. If they're working, they're fallen into drugs, etc., etc. So we start to see, and what happens, like as an extreme, what happens is that these people will become old. They can't retain their perfection anymore, and then they'll die. They can't even exist anymore. Just like Ibrahim sees the sun, but the sun goes away. The moon comes and the moon goes away. And that is how we see that there are phases that we find attraction in certain idols, but then they fade away. And the intrinsic desire within us for perfection says, wait a second, how can this be my God? How can this be somebody I would follow or hook myself onto? Because when they drown, I drown. When they finish, I finish. When they can't sustain, I can't sustain. So there's an internal introspection, there's an internal process through which we are unable to sustain our loyalties to anyone other than perfection, anyone other than that God who cannot be named, that God who is perfect, that God who just doesn't stop manifesting his beauty and perfection in every moment. So that's why when we sit with stillness and we sit in the quiet, we have to go inside ourselves to reanalyze our directions, our intentions, our destinations of where am I going? Who am I? Who do I want to become? Right? And these questions come up. So we were looking at that, and we were talking about the fears and how our fears, they get in the way of us trusting this God. They get in the way of us relying on this God, and we just want to control everything. And so Marian says, we feel powerless to achieve until we already have. And that becomes a process, right? This rat race of achievement, this rat race of having everything together. A few days ago, I was sitting with my daughter, and she's 11, and she was telling me, Mama, that I see this Western concept of achieving a life where you have this checklist where you get a house, you get a car, your kids are in a good university, you have you have a good job, you have a certain level of earning, and it's like a hamster wheel. You just got to do tuck, 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 tuck. You got to do these things, and then you can feel like, okay, I've lived my life. And what I saw in her, not as my child but as a child, is that there was a natural understanding of feeling empty. And she kept using the word empty. Mama, it feels empty. And I, and she wasn't able to explain it, but she was saying, Mama, it's so, what else then? What next? You've done all of that. Everybody's doing the same thing. What else? What else? And what I saw in her was this deep desire as a human being on this planet, realizing that there must be more. There is something else. There is a higher purpose. This doesn't suffice my potential. My potential is much higher than this. This cannot be it, because at some point she felt sad about it. And that is why, if you listen to people like Jim Carrey or, you know, Will Smith or Keanu Reeves, these people, they went into Hollywood. I think if it's Russell Brand, what's his name? And these people, they say that, I wish you could have everything, house, a car, the whole thing. And then I could tell you that this is really not it. This is not what will ever make you happy. So, but we've been we're conditioned like that. The way we are brought up, we're conditioned like that. Keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. Even in Asian homes, like the mother will be after the daughters to learn certain skills, because like, do this, do this, do this, do this. You have to learn all these skills, because don't know what home you're gonna go into and marry into, and like the whole shebang of what will people say? My daughter doesn't know how to make round roti, things like that, right? It's all about doing and impressing people. And with the boys, it's like, you have to study, and get a job or earn good money or have a house before you can get a wife, and the whole thing. And I'm not denying any of these things. These are beautiful skills, and these skills are tools that help us do life better, for sure. Who doesn't like to have good food? Who doesn't like to have good money? Do all of that. But that is all something that is a scaffolding. That is a outer structure of what we want to achieve. The deeper aim and destination is something else. And so she says that if somebody comes along and suggests that we go with the flow, maybe lighten up a little, we feel really hysterical. After all, we're totally underachievers as is, as far as we can see. The last thing we can imagine doing is becoming any more passive than we already are. So we have this drive of constantly doing something, and when we don't do it, we don't feel good about ourselves. We feel the whole world is going to fall apart. Now, do you see this idea that if I keep doing something is only when everything will stay together and not fall apart, is saying I'm controlling everything and I'm the one responsible for making things work. And if I don't do it, nobody will do it, and it will be a mess. Just let that sink in and understand. I have come across a lot of people. I was like that. Um, and I will share some insights into my journey with this also in a bit. Is that most of the people who are in this rut of doing things, they end up becoming very grumpy and very unhappy with the way life is. They feel nobody's supporting them. They feel they're the only ones who have to get everything done. They're like perfectionists a lot of times. um, they'll be the first ones waking up and then telling everybody what to do, and then nobody's doing anything, so they end up doing everybody's work, and in the end they're resentful towards people. And so there's this anger that wells up in them in saying nobody cares, nobody supports, I have to do everything, why won't anybody do anything? And then they want to have this perfectionism in what they want. And when that doesn't happen, there's a lot of disappointment, there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of anger towards other people. But there's this inability to let go of this control. The other thing that happens is, which was my journey, is that when you stop feeling supported in the universe, when you stop having that connection where you feel you're supported, and mind you, like, I've been crazy about God since I was a kid. Like, I would be reading all these books since I was a really small child. So there's this knowledge that we gain through the brain, but it is the life experiences that set the tone of our emotional perception of God. And no matter what I say from my mouth, what my heart has absorbed needs a lot of deeper inner work. So on the outside, you're reading God is the supporter, tawakkaltu ala Allah, God is the nasr min Allah, fathan qareeb, and you're reading all these ayats, and you're reading God is with the believers, and etc. etc. But what's happening is that you're seeing human beings, like we discussed in our childhood. We will realize that our parents didn't do what they should have done, or they didn't come up to that level of perfection we wanted them to be at. And then we start developing this world view, this world picture. And a lot of us will develop this picture that I am not supported. Maria Montessori, I really admire and respect her work in child upbringing. I studied her work, and there were things that she would talk about for an infant who's born, and she would say that if the child keeps crying and crying and crying, and we don't come to listen to them and don't understand, we don't calm them down, then the child will develop an understanding that in this world nobody listens to me, right? And these are some psychological things. And so they start to have an imprint on the baby. So a lot of times mothers would say, let him cry to sleep, or, let the baby, keep crying, has to learn. You don't just get everything that you have or want all the time. We have that percent. These are all us projecting our beliefs onto this child. And now this child is developing these. And I'm not saying that she's 100% right. um, you will always find something debunking that, but take it from the perspective of these beliefs that develop in us, and then it takes a whole lifetime to undo these beliefs. So if you stop feeling supported, if you have events in your life that have made an imprint on you where you don't feel supported, then the belief system inside says, I'm not supported. And then we start to reflect that on the outside, because whatever we will focus on, whatever we will believe, we are going to reflect that into our life. And we have talked about this time and again that this world is our creation. This world, like yesterday, I read a post which said, if a dream is a projection of what our mind holds, and Imam Bakr says that this life is like a dream, and when you will die, you will wake up, then whatever we're seeing in this life also is a projection of who I am. Literally, it's as if whatever I have held inside of me has been put into a USB or in a device. And now through my eyes, there's a holographic projection, like a cinematic 8D experience of what I'm holding within myself, what I created for myself, right? A lot of scholars will contend that we made this promise and we decided our life and we chose our parents and we chose everything before we came here. And that's another very intense discussion into Quran and analysis of certain verses. But the idea is that in no way can we blame anybody for the circumstances or for the way life is unfolding, because we have been given that power to decide our destiny, to unfold life the way we want to. And in every moment, we are the co-creators of our life. So if I am projecting my inner on the outside, we were discussing a case, my friend and I, um, and we were discussing that, for example, if somebody feels like their spouse is miserly, then if their spouse is a reflection of who they are, then can we sit with ourselves and look inside of us and say, do I have any traces of miserliness within me? Where is this stemming from? Why am I projecting somebody with miserliness in my life? Is because maybe I have some germs of miserliness within me. And if you're women, we'll be like, but I don't earn money, I don't have, I'm not earning, I'm at home, or whatever I earn is for my own spending. My husband is the provider, he's the one earning, he has so much money, why is he being miserly? It's his fault. And he's making life hell for me, and he's making life difficult for me, and this whole blame starts. But this is the difficult journey that we are going to be talking about, Sirat-e Mustaqim. And today I'm not doing the lexicological or the linguistic breakdown of the word, but going into some concepts, and we'll come back to that later. That this Sirat-e Mustaqim, it's a constant journey of removing the focus from the outside and going within. Because going within means you have to keep making this journey about one you, that's it, not everybody else. Blaming, as we've spoken earlier, distracts us from ourselves and takes all the energy out of us into the other person. So now there are situations in life where we feel cornered, where the outer person can make things very difficult for us. And we feel like there's really nothing I can do because I'm not supposed to change the other person, but it's making things very difficult for me to handle. And the spiritual way of dealing with any of that is to sit with yourself and come back to yourself and take charge. It's very, very hard for the ego to do that. The ego will do everything to make you feel like, well, it's not my fault, but it's not my fault. I didn't do this, it's not me. Ego will not want you to do that. It's so offensive. And believe me, if you have a friend who can show you the mirror in a polite, loving, kind way and say, just, maybe, very, it's a difficult place, because when you're friends with somebody, you can't say, but I see you making a mistake, I think you're doing something wrong. It's like pointing fingers, and it makes us offensive. And the minute somebody says you, we just trigger up, flare up, and like, how dare you tell me I'm the one suffering? My heart is broken, I'm the one in pain, and you're telling me I'm the one at fault? I've lived this horrible life with this person doing this, and we go into that tangent. But the spiritual way, which is the most empowering way, especially for the women, we will be talking about the masculine and feminine energies, especially for the woman, is that you take charge of your life and you believe that you have that power within you, that if you change your inner world, that your outer world will definitely change. And you can try it, like give it a try. It needs patience, but do that. Like something ridiculously, and you can't even understand something which you don't like on the outside. Take that and sit with it within yourself. All right. And say, what is this sign telling me on that? What is this signpost in my outer world showing me about myself? What is this mirror? Because this world is a mirror. It's mirroring my inner world to me in the way I see it. Have you noticed, sometimes you'll go out with somebody and you'll say, oh, what a pathetic weather. And they'll be like, but I love this weather. I love the sun. And the other person like, I don't like the sun at all. I want clouds. I want rain. Like, I'm one of those people. I love clouds and I love rain. And, people are like, no. And you see the same outside environment looks different to these two people. And that's why the world outside is just me reflecting that world. The sun is the same, the clouds are the same, but one is happy, one is unhappy, because of that inner reality that creates the reality, the true reality on the outside. And so we start to blame people and we start to put the responsibility on other people. And, we have to be kind with ourselves. We have to be gentle with ourselves when we are in that place. Just bringing awareness that I am feeling hurt. Somebody's hurt me and I'm feeling like blaming someone. Just being in that place with awareness and saying, right now, I'm unable to heal. Right now, I'm unable to look within myself. And right now, I'm just too hurt. The reason I say that, I go through this phase again and again. I feel like we go through these cycles of dark and light. And I have had experiences where I'd be hurt so deeply, I'd be triggered. And then I feel like I'm in this dark place of feeling like blaming other people, like not seeing a solution, like feeling like there's a dead end. You know, all of those things, they just come onto you, and there's a whale. Like you literally feel you can't see the light. So there's a whale and it overcomes you. But as godly people, we just sit with that phase and we just stay within it and know that, how the seed goes deep inside the soil. And in the darkness, it has to break down to grow. These moments are beautiful moments which help us grow. Why am I saying that? Anytime something hurts us, anytime something angers us, it's a trigger. And if there is a trigger, that means it's holding a negative charge. It's coming with a charge. This experience has a charge to it. Like a negative and a positive charge. We can feel it in our body, right? If we're happy and joyful, it's a different kind of charge. But when there's anger, resentment, hatred, all of that, the trigger creates a charge in our body. You can literally feel it in your body. You're fuming. And now you know that in this moment, something that was buried deep inside me is starting to crack open and come out. So that's the process. If we feel that I'm going to just become a sadhu and I'll be very calm and I'll be like sweet and polite all the time and then the healing will happen, it really doesn't work like that. I've had moments where I feel like, oh, now I did so much work and journaling and writing and gratitude and all that. I'm going to be really sweet and kind person. The next minute something triggers me, the Medusa comes out, right? And we hate on ourselves for that. But the truth is that can we take the space in that moment, take that space, isolate yourself a little bit, take a shower, have your hot tea, write down your feelings and emotions in that moment of charge, and separate yourself from those people or environments where you can be triggered and your angry self can hurt somebody, or you might say something that may not be fair on other people. And now you have an evidence. Something within me is triggered, something within me is buzzing, and now I need to look at it. I need to see it. I need to be aware of it. A lot of us don't feel like we want to go to that place. We don't want to go and check in with ourselves and say, where is this emotion coming from? Because this emotion will almost always, 99% of the time, come from a very painful place. And behind all anger is hurt. That's a principle. Behind all anger is hurt. And so we don't want to go to hurting places, right? Because these are wounds that we've just bandaged and suppressed and shoved them under the carpet because it's going to give us pain. It's going to be hurting, and we crying our eyes out. We will have to take out these 1 or 2 days where be crying so much that I can't go and see anybody. Like, what's going on? Why are you crying? Or you feel sad, or you feel depressed, or we will be like, I won't be able to like this person again. I won't be able to love this person again. I won't be able to see this person's face again, because what if I go into my cobwebs and I see that this person hurt me, or that person said this to me, or or my parents gave me this experience, I won't be able to like them or love them as people? Or what if I come to a place of hurt where I will not be able to love God anymore? That God did this to me, and now like that pain was too much, and how will I forgive? But that's the difficult journey where you have to really understand the only way out is through. It's only when you go through it is the only time you're going to get out of it. Otherwise, all your life, remember, pain will go, pain will leave your life. That particular pain will leave your life only when you've learned the lesson. Otherwise, today, your child may trigger you and take you back to the same wound. You don't deal with it. Tomorrow, husband will do it. Tomorrow, mother-in-law will do it. Friend will do it. Driver will do it. Shopkeeper will do it. World, universe is going to keep taking you in that direction and keep triggering that very emotion to tell you there is something you need to work on. And for me, I have noticed this. It's only when you start to really read into this, I would notice that somebody would do something unfair with me, and I would be cribbing about it and be telling my friends, like, why did this person do this to me? And do you think it's okay? And etc. And I'm trying to sort it out. And after like literally after 1 or 2 days, another person will do the exact same thing. Please remember, if you ever feel that more than one person did something to you very identical and you felt the same thing, that is literally telling you that this problem is not with them. This problem is with you, because you are the common denominator here. You're the one attracting this experience in your life. First it was from one person, now it's from another person. So that becomes a clue for you, for me, that there's something that needs to be worked on within myself. And so when we go through these moments of um, anger and negative charge, and we sit with it and we write it and we journal it, we transform our energetic charge and we put it into writing. So the form of energy changes. That's why writing is really beautiful. Even Quran talks about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about the pen. There's a very special significance to writing. And when we write things down, it brings clarity. It also gives you this tablet, right? Allah talks about the tablet. So from the inner tablet, now you're transforming your thoughts into the written tablet in front of you. And when you write it down, um, you have now created something which was not yet in the created world. And you have now brought it to a place where it can be sorted. Earlier it was just in this mumbo jumbo and there was no clarity and you didn't know how many emotions were overlapping each other. And now when you write it down, it brings you clarity. The pen and the paper are your personal counselors, like people who are always willing to listen to you, always there for you to empty yourself, vent yourself. So you write it down, you talk to a friend about it, a godly friend who can, slowly and slowly give you that space of venting it, expressing your hurt, but then slowly, slowly bring you back into self-awareness. Not somebody who will, and this is why we see that gossip is such a harmful thing for us, is because gossip is all about taking the attention away from ourselves. It's just about other people. They say small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, great mind discuss ideas. And that'll be another discussion. But yeah, so when we start to focus on other people, automatically now you don't have time, energy, or space to look within yourself. So writing really helps. And there are two aspects to this low place. One is that suddenly you thought you've come somewhere or you've done well for yourself, or we're all struggling for love, right? We're all struggling to have a good image of ourselves. In fact, we look for validation from other people to feel good about ourselves. But what does a believer have to come into a place of? And why is it that self-work is so hard? Is because we want to have a good image of ourselves so we can finally love ourselves. So we can finally say, I'm enough. And we can finally say, um, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of whatever gifts I have or goodness in life or whatever. We're always looking for that validation. But the minute Allah opens the inner eye and He turns the eye inwards, then a lot of our skeletons, which were hidden in our closet, they manifest themselves. And a lot of times we're not ready to see, oh my God, it was my fault. Or, oh my God, this is what I need work with in myself. Like feeling jealous, like feeling this desire to blame somebody for any of the things that are going wrong in my life. It gives me a really good place to blame other people because it takes away the responsibility. I don't have to work on myself. I don't have to see my hurt or pain or anything. But now when the inner eye opens, suddenly you realize that you have things that you need to work on. I struggled a lot in a very, very deep way with guilt, and I still do. Deep guilt and a lot of shame that our culture brings us up with. Especially the kind of conventional religious teachings we were given, with shaming you as a bad person. If there are two people, the third is shaitan. You can't trust yourself. You know, and recently somebody said, like, why can't we say if there are two people, the third is God? Be mindful of God. Why do you have to say there's a shaitan and you can't trust yourself? Why can't we teach our children, trust yourself? The third one is God. Hold on to God and be mindful of your actions. It's in the context of guys and girls together, right? This is what in the madrasas we would be taught, that if there's a guy and a girl together, the third is a shaitan, and you can't trust yourself and things like that. So there's a lot of guilt and shame that comes with this idea of this black and white hell and heaven and burning in hell and punishment from God. And so the very refuge that of God that was supposed to be my biggest refuge becomes my place of feeling scared of going there. Like, God will punish me. I need to be scared of God all the time because I'm a human being. I'm always making a mistake. So God can't love me. I need to keep doing good things to be loved. I need to keep doing charity. I need to keep doing volunteer work. I need to keep, helping my relatives. I need to do all these, constantly doing, so that I can just run away from all the inner work that I need to do. Because inside, I feel I'm a really bad person. Inside, I was told, you're selfish. You're not, this or that. So many things that we are labeled as children through our mentors, teachers, because that was their way of upbringing children. And so children grow up and when they become adults, a lot of these beliefs stay within. So I have struggled with a lot of guilt because of my very close association with religious studies from the very beginning. And because the studies were always about burning in hell, it just took you to a place of guilt. So the only way we kind of stay away from doing bad deeds per se is because I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want to be a bad person, right? Nobody will love me. Allah will not love me. And that starts to build up inside us as a mindful guilt. Like, guilt has a purpose. Guilt is supposed to keep me mindful and bring me back on track. It's supposed to be my compass, but an overriding sense of guilt then takes us into a place of not feeling good about ourselves. And so all of these emotions have to be they have to be opened up, and you know they have to be analyzed and investigated. And when we make this irada, when we set this intention that I'm going to move out of the outer blame game and go into my inner world, and I want to do inner work and get going with, I don't want jealousy within me, I don't want hatred within me, I don't want anger or resentment within me, then the inner eye starts to open, And when the inner eye starts to open, you start seeing things. Sometimes you will have realizations, sometimes you see dreams. And these dreams can really shake you. They really show you inner things that you're sitting on. And sometimes they're really like scary. Sometimes they not scary in like a demonic way, like you'll see demons or anything, but more like, they will evoke emotions that you don't want to see. But now, because you've set the intention, the journey will start. Ulama, they tell us that, one of the scholars I was listening to said that once I had a dream in which I saw myself caught in this really scary house, and I was trapped and I couldn't get out. And I can't recall the dream entirely right now, but he had this horrible dream, and then he fell, or a vision, and then when it lasted a little while, and he took refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and prayed A'udhu Billah. And then when he got out of it, he he says that I sat with it and I wanted to see what it was representing from my soul, and then I found that there were certain traits within me that needed work. So what happens now is that for you to grow, um, Rumi says that Mary has to give birth to Jesus. Every human soul is impregnated with this, this new birth that has to take place through us, the birth of our new selves. And that's our growth. And that is, today in spirituality, they'll say, recreate yourself, constantly recreate yourself, become somebody new, change. You're not obligated to be the same person. Learn, change, bring awareness. We did that. Ramadan means Ramadan, which means transformation. When the scorching heat of the sun falls on something, that thing transforms. Rocks become, coal, and coal becomes diamond. Heat has that effect of transformation. And, the seeds sprout and they become a tree. And so Ramadan is that scorching heat. So now you have to, how do they say it? You have to go through that heat. You have to bear the heat of that moment to birth into a new person. And you will birth into a new person by working on those triggers and internal deep emotions. And when the trigger is taken in the direction of going inwards and you work on those emotions, then next time the intensity of the negative charge won't be as much. It takes years and years and repetitive work in some aspects, and it'll just take one go and to unknot a certain trait, and you'll be a changed person. So we don't know how much work which not within ourselves will take to open. But the truth is that it needs constant reevaluation, constant awareness. Meditation and mindfulness is about bringing awareness. And they say that wherever the awareness falls, wherever your awareness will fall, it will transform. So it's like Ramadan. It's like you're living in a state of being in the month of Ramadan all your life, where you are constantly shining your awareness on these dark parts of you so that you can transform it. And the difficult part is that you will now see something really bad about yourself. Like, wait a second, I thought I'm not a liar. I thought that I'm a truthful person. I'm a very honest person. But you realize that in some ways you've been lying about something to somebody or to yourself about something. Sometimes we lie to ourselves about saying, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. This is okay, it's working out, because it's a difficult situation. And then that's a lie. You're not happy. And when you recognize that you're not happy, then, oh my God, it would be an avalanche of emotion. Why am I not happy? Oh my God, will I need to do something? Will I need to change my life? What will I need to do? It's going to be difficult. Am I not happy because of me? Am I not happy because of my situation? Is there something that I need to, for example, Yasmin Mujahid had written last year about women who choose to stay in abusive homes. it's so difficult for them to leave abusive homes because it takes a lot of courage, bravery, something that a lot of women don't like to talk about or share with other people. Then they have to come out with it, and then they have to face people. Some people pity them, some people blame them. We have this cycle, right? People will say whatever they feel like saying. Some people will say you brought it onto yourself. Some people will say, oh my God, what a pity, you're in such a bad situation, or whatever. I didn't know you were living in this abusive relationship for so long, etc., etc. Some women are scared that they need their children to make it to college, and after that, they will leave their spouses, etc. We know this. At least I come across these stories a lot. And so it's really, really important that we focus and understand that without this work, we can't move forward. So if we go inside ourselves, then a lot of these issues will come up. Issues about why are you not happy? What is it that is bothering you? All that, and they're very difficult emotions. So it's a good idea to have a good support system as well, friends, mentors, teachers you can reach out to, you can talk to when these emotions start to well up, who can speak to you without judgment. And that's why in the Christian world they have that confession chamber where they go and they speak to the priest. It has its pros and cons, but there is this good thing about confiding in another person, sharing with another person. It gives clarity, it gives you support, it gives you validation in saying, okay, this is right, this is wrong. So what my point is that when we go in this journey, then these realms open up, and this is what we call unveilings. These are the unveilings. You unveil layers of yourself to go to the truth of who you are. What is your impediment? What is your obstacle in the way? What is stopping you from going to the next step of your growth? And then these things reveal themselves to us. So coming back, I think we digressed a bit, but these things are important, I feel, because these reminders are also important. So if somebody tells us that go with the flow, lighten up, you don't have to be so like constipated about doing everything in a perfectionist way, then we're already of a bad opinion of ourselves. I'm not doing enough and I need to do more. That we go and we're like, how can I be more passive? But she's explaining over here that passive energy has its own kind of strength. Now, personal power results from a balance of masculine and feminine forces. Passive energy without active energy becomes lazy, saying that if you just go into this zen state where you're like, I'll just sit and pray to God, and I'll just connect to God, and I'll just work on my intention, and I'll just work on this, and there is no outer proactive action, then it becomes a sedentary, lazy life. But active energy, which most of us are now drilled into and pushed into, constantly going through our day doing this, then what is that? What without any passive energy, without trust, without relying on God, without letting go of things, it becomes tyrannous, becomes a painful place to be in. An overdose of male aggressive energy is macho, controlling, unbalanced, and unnatural. The problem is that aggressive energy is what we've all been taught to respect. We've been taught that life was made for, just going and getting it done. We've created a fight mentality. We're always fighting for something, for the job, for the money, relationship, to get out of a relationship, to get into a relationship, to lose weight, to get sober, to get them to get other people to understand us, to get people to stay with us, to get people to leave us, and on and on. And we never put away our swords. So the feminine surrendered place in us is passive. It doesn't do anything. The spiritualization process is what she's calling the feminization process. Now, I want to make this clear again that we're not talking about the literal woman and man. We're talking about the feminine and the masculine energies within us. For example, one of the ways of understanding masculine and feminine is that the masculine is the exposed work with that we do, which is the manifestation of zahir, and the feminine energy is the batini, the hidden, the unseen. And these are all energies, and so spiritualization is an internal process. So like we said, that we are always feeling that it's all about this sentence she says really beautiful. She says, uh, we have to understand that it's not about what we do, but what we become. And so the feminization of the process, the spiritualization of process is what I've been saying today, is that not fixing the outside, not doing things to other people, not angrily going and confronting people, but going inside and saying, let me do the work inside. When we do this, sitting down in stillness, of experiencing this passive energy within us, it also opens the doors to wisdom. The reason I'm saying that is because when wisdom opens its doors to us, then it also gives us the clarity of how to do the outside world, how to handle this situation, how to talk to this person, how to deal with this situation that is creating turmoil in my life. So it's really important to first go within, take that pause, and then respond instead of reacting. um so now, so quieting of the mind, it is the cultivation of personal magnetism. Now she's giving a really beautiful example, and this will really help us understand how is it that I can stop doing and still go on with life. How is it going to happen? How is it going to work? I can't just be sitting like a couch potato and expecting life to unfold for me. So she's talking about this way of doing life, which comes from a real mindfulness from within. And she says, if you have a pile of shavings, iron shavings, and you spread them out and you want to create a beautiful pattern from it, there are two ways she says you can do it. One is you can take your finger and meticulously go through those iron shavings and make a pattern out of it, or a drawing out of it. And the other is that if you get a magnet, the magnet will automatically create that design. You don't have to do anything. It just creates that. So what she's saying, that the magnet will attract the iron shavings. It symbolizes our feminine consciousness, which exerts its power through attraction rather than activity. So when there's a change in our energy, then a lot of the work on the outside will start looking different, and it will start to manifest differently. An example came to my mind. If it comes back to me, I will share it. Just slipped my mind. Okay, this attractive, receptive, feminine aspect of our consciousness is the space of mental surrender. One thing that I wanted to say when I said especially women, when I was saying especially women, you know, in my life, I've had so many teachers, and whenever I would feel stuck, they would say, "You're the woman, and you can change your home, or you can resolve issues at home. You're the woman, you got to change." It's to anger me to no limits. Like, why do I have to do all the work? And then there would be a saying in Urdu, we say, like, tali do haath se bajti hai, like, you can't clap unless you use both your hands. Or to make the car of your marriage work, you need both the wheels to work equally. But it would make me so angry. I would be like, why do people have to say, oh, it's a woman who has to work? Even if I'm sitting with my elders and they're resolving issues about somebody's marriage, they're like, yeah, like, the woman has to do this, the woman has to do that. And I used to feel like this is such a disbalance of putting the responsibility on the woman, and the guy is just got free. Like, why are you doing this? But once I started understanding the power of the feminine energy, and I understood that from whatever angle I would come to look at the yin and the yang, or the masculine, the feminine, the Jamal and the Jalal of God, I always found that Jamal, uh, it overpowers the Jalal. Allah says, my mercy overcomes my wrath. His Jamal is his feminine energy, right? Women are beautiful and men are majestic, wrathful, angry, robust. So the feminine and the masculine are the two dimensions of God's manifestation. But he's always saying that my Jamal overcomes my Jalal, my mercy overcomes my wrath. He's always talking about him being like 70 mothers, not like a father. He always refers himself to the Ar-Rahman, which comes from the womb. He's not talking about any of the male things. He's talking about the woman with the womb. He's saying, I am Rahman, the one with the Raham, with the womb. I'm the womb of creation. A mother is a womb of creation, right? So when we look at this powerful understanding of how the Jamal overpowers the Jalal, we come to the understanding of the nourisher of the family, the woman. The woman is the one who nourishes the family. They say you give her ingredients and she'll make food for you. You give them a sperm and she'll give a baby to you. She is the nourisher. She is the one who is the real literal co-creator with God. Sharing the most qualities of God is the woman. So when we say that let the woman do her work, is like saying let now the woman come and do her magic, because she has that power to be that leader. And women with this positive mindset, if they say, I'm not helpless, I'm not hopeless, I'm not powerless, I can change my life, I can change my family, I can change my circumstances, then with that positive mindset, she will start to uncover these powers within us that are powers of positivity, powers of encouragement, powers of, nourishing a beautiful energy within her home, changing the environment of her home. She just needs to come into her power and understand that. For as long as she's going to live in this victim mentality, then a lot will not change. And of course, I'm not at all saying that if there's a physically abusive situation that she continues, but as long as that is taken care of, a woman has so much power. And the reason I'm saying that is this way of looking at the same thing in two different ways. One is that you feel like there's an issue in your family, and there are elders and there are men, and they overpower your power and they don't let you do things, and you feel powerless. And then you feel like, okay, there's a lot of talk about the woman surrendering a lot of time, like she needs to surrender, she needs to surrender. And she can go into that victim mentality of being forced and becoming the sacrificial lamb and go into that negative narration in her mind. Or the other is saying, wait a second, Allah is telling me, I will not change the situation of the people unless they change what is within themselves. Allah is giving me that power. And being a woman, I have even more power. If I change what is within me, Allah is saying, I will change your situation. He will change the outside. So much power. I have so much power. I don't need to go and ask anybody for help. As in, like, change this or change that. Take the support of your friends to do inner work. But what I'm trying to say is that you and I, we have so much power that it's like this, that um, orb of power, or like this magical potion that's sitting within you. And you're like, nah, it's not that powerful. It's not that strong. It doesn't really work. But it's when you really look at it and you say, it has so much potential. I'm so powerful. I didn't realize it. I have that divine energy within me that can transform everything. My thoughts can change my reality. It empowers us. It takes us out of that place of hopelessness, powerlessness, voicelessness. And when we start practicing life with intention, we practice our life with, oh my God, I've gone over time. Sorry. Then what happens is that we can use this power to really change our lives. And you'll start to see the difference it makes to change our thoughts into positive thoughts. I totally lost track of time today, and I had so many other things to talk about. I apologize. This happened. I would like to end our session today now. I'm abruptly ending it. We will continue it next week, inshallah. We will go further into the masculine and the feminine energies. We will talk about what surrender looks like, what surrender means, connecting it to the feminine and the masculine energies. And we want to talk about Sirat-e Mustaqim from many different dimensions. What is this Sirat-e Mustaqim? What is the Sirat-e Mustaqim of the mystic, of the inner world? And how do we experience Sirat-e Mustaqim here? And how can we practice this? And what is the meaning? Do we take the meaning as I'm already on the right path, or God keep guiding me? There's a contention over that meaning as a child I came across. So I'm gonna go into that as well. So akhir dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Oh Allah, we put up our hands in front of you with our humbleness, with our weaknesses, with our flaws. Oh Allah, so many times we get so caught up in the pits of our darkness that the way seems unbearably lost and unclear. And you are the only one we come to for guidance and clarity and light. Oh Allah, keep us in the warm embrace of your love and light, and keep guiding us, holding our hands. And oh Allah, we seek protection from heedlessness. We seek protection from moments of despair when we're disconnected from you, oh Allah. Always, always help us see your goodness and your kindness and your mercy in the most trying of situations, and help us grow through them. Amen. So I'm going to stop the recording now.